My question is, should states have stricter gun laws and regulations? I am interested in this topic because a person close to me was affected by gun violence. This topic is very significant because guns take the lives of others basically every day and cause permanent damage to families. Most of us live around Chicago, who has some of the most dangerous neighborhoods in the nation. My first source is from Robert Verbruggen. He wrote an article in the National Review called Fewer Guns, Less Homicide, written in December 21st, 2015. He states that the United States has a much higher homicide rate than just about any other highly developed country, and it also has much more civilian gun ownership. The author argues that preventing violence is a far more difficult and complicated task than many of us would think. There is actually no simple correlation between states' homicides and their gun ownership rates or laws, Verbruggen states. I found this interesting, and I did not completely agree with the author on this, but I did agree with the fact that preventing violence is far more difficult and a complicated task than many of us think. My second source was from an article called The States with the Most Gun Laws See the Fewest Gun-Related Deaths. This was written by Libby Essenstein, who is a graphic artist for the National Journal. She is a good source because she knows how to create visual concepts such as graphs and tables in her article dated August 25th, 2015. In this article, it shows you the three biggest red flags for states that have the most gun-related deaths per 100,000 people. These three biggest red flags are no background checks, no report or registering of their weapons needed, and no permit being required. This surprised me. I did not think some states were so lax on gun laws. Her charts show the top 5 states are predominantly southern states who do not have very strict gun laws. The charts are very detailed and depict a lot of information and statistics featuring gun laws and homicides. My third source is actually a television show called Swamp People. This television show features people that live in the southern state Louisiana. This is a credible source because it depicts real life people having to use guns to live and make money. Nothing in the show is staged. In order to hunt alligator, which is the main thing they do in the show, you must have a gun to kill them and take them in. Living off the land is a big concept in the South and in the show. The show depicts a lot of people being filmed hunting animals such as alligator and squirrel. According to my second source, Louisiana, which is the state that the show is filmed in, is one of the top 5 states that had one of the highest related homicides per 100,000 people. This may be the reason why gun deaths are so high there. Many people require guns to survive and to live off the land. My fourth source is an article from the newspaper The Washington Post called A Second Opinion on the Second Amendment. John Paul Stevens writes that organizations such as the National Rifle Association disagreed with the court ruling that limited the scope of the Second Amendment to uses of arms that were somehow related to the military. This article released on April 13th, 2014. John Paul Stevens is an extremely credible source because he was a former Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States. He mentions several court cases that have to do with the Second Amendment. He also mentions that due to the fact that there have been a lot of massacres by guns, some legislators have advocated stricter control or firearm sale and background checks of individuals wanting to purchase firearms. He offers his opinion on how adopting measures to the Second Amendment, such as background checks, is not unconstitutional. So my decision, after reading and interpreting these graphs and articles, is that yes, states should have stricter gun laws and regulations. I understand that people need to have guns in order to survive, but it doesn't change the fact that people are being affected by gun violence every day. Stricter rules and regulations might not be the only thing that can be done to prevent gun violence and get that gun homicides, but it is a start in the right direction.